Ladies and gentlemen, members and friends, it's Matt Bailey here, your National Ambassador and Branch Director for the Scotch Malt Whisky Society here in Australia. Bit of a different video setup today. I'm actually recording out of the old studio, which we're moving out of at the Society. We're building a new space at the moment for us to do some videos in and to do some podcasts and whatnot. We're looking forward to a big year ahead. So Happy New Year to you all. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. I want to take this opportunity just to say hello. This is our first proper video of the year. And welcome you back for 2023 if you're already a member. If you're not a member and you're watching this and you want to join the Society, this is the best time to do so because we're looking down the barrel of a huge year ahead. We're celebrating 40 years of the Scotch Malt Whisky Society being Mavericks in malt whisky since 1983 to 2013. That's 40 years of changing the whisky landscape. That's why I'm surrounded right now by boxes and bottles and a few empty shelves as we've been slowly clearing things out. It's always the full stuff that goes into the boxes first, and then the part bottles will be later. Anyway, it gives you an indication of how many part bottles I've got kicking around here. It's quite a few. This is about Malt of the Month. This is about January Malt of the Month, which is out Friday, the 6th of January at midday AEST, AEDT? We're in daylight saving. Yeah, AEDT. So Sydney, Melbourne time, midday on Friday, the 6th of January. I have the bottle here in the office. Let's see if it zooms in on that instead of my face. There we go. Tropical Cornucopia. I'm probably showing around the other way for you right now. Like I said, this is a very makeshift setup at the moment for the videos. Cask 152.2. I'll show it on screen now. And you can have a look at what this is all about. This is our single malt, single cask Canadian whiskey. That's right, we are being Mavericks for January and we're bottling a Canadian whiskey as our whiskey of the month, our malt of the month. We've got a few of these to go around and we want to make sure we could share it with you all. Now, I literally just opened this bottle this afternoon. You can see there's only a few smidges taken out of it. I shared this with both Scott Farrow from Wonderland Drinks, who's the importer for this Canadian distillery, and also a gentleman from the actual distillery, the sort of finance commercial director from the distillery who's in Australia at the moment. Really serendipitous, if you like, or fortuitous opportunity for us to get together and taste this whiskey because, first of all, one of the directors from this distillery had actually not tasted anything this old, especially at this strength. 62.9% ABV on this one. I'm just going to let that open up a bit in the glass for a second. It is a big whiskey, definitely very deserving of the spicy and dry flavour profile in this case. Straight away, it's like coconut tropical fruits. Like chai hot chocolate. Yeah, fruits and Ovaltine, like chopped papaya, melon, mango. So tropical, like so summery and tropical in the glass. I'm also just going to, look, I've actually tasted this already, so I'm just going to hurry this along a little bit and say this one takes water well. So let's talk a little bit about this distillery. I'm going to do my best not to say the name because I like not saying the name. You know what we're like at the Society. We're all about the flavour, not the names, not the brands. It's a Canadian single malt whiskey. That in itself is unusual because most Canadian whiskey is what we would call grain whiskey. This is a single malt whiskey, so it's 100% malted barley. It's double distilled, traditionally double distilled. It's from two-row barley, which is grown in British Columbia. Very traditional approach to making their whiskey. Very sort of like slow fermentations, double distillation, nice full 67-68% ABV new make off the still. And then these back then, they were filling the casks around 67-68%, which is how it's maintained that high proof after 10 years. Of 62.9%, almost 63%. And it's also interesting that this distillery is located on a coastal shoreline in Canada. So it's actually they claim that that picks up some of the cask flavors. The flavors of the cask are picked up from some of the ocean, some of the terroir. But I'll show a photo here. I was, and don't start me on terroir, but I'll show you a photo here. This is of course Chris and Scott, who I was catching up with this afternoon. They were both tasting the whiskey with me, and they both just loved it. And these are guys who taste a lot of this particular Canadian whiskey. I personally think Canadian whiskey is on the up. I think, and I'm not just saying that because we've got this cask, I really do think it's on the up because we're seeing, there's only about, Chris tells me there's about 20 or 25 different Canadian distilleries doing single malt now. That's not a lot, but what they're doing apparently is quite quality. and it's a high, like, you know, low output but high quality sort of area of the world. And I've added a bit of water to this twice now. It does take water well, trust me. Yeah, now I'm getting like an Ovaltine note. I'm getting that tropical fruit. Oh, it's amazing. When was the last time you thought you'd tasted a 10-year-old Canadian single cask whiskey? I would probably wager it's somewhere between a long time ago or never. You probably tasted maybe 10 or 12-year-old Canadian whiskey. There's a huge difference there. Canadian whiskey being mostly grain whiskey. In this case, this is not a grain whiskey. It is grain whiskey, of course, it comes from grain. But it's of course, single malt grain whiskey. So it's 100% malted barley. It's just got that lovely sort of aspect of like I say, tropical cornucopia is the name of this whiskey, and for good reason. It's just so tropical. It's like a bit of salted caramel in there, mango, papaya. It's quite heathery actually. It's quite like a bit of praline, chocolate orange. Chocolate orange, you know those Terry's chocolate orange? I think there's a bit of that going on in that. Very light though, very light on the tropical, but it's got heaps of spice and oak. I mean, this is essentially also, it's worth noting, this is distilled 2011, 11th of August 2011. That is first year of distillation for this distillery. So you're tasting something at the genesis point of this distillery, which in itself is exciting. So 2023 is our Mavericks year. It's a year of Mavericks. It's a year of celebrating 40 years of changing that whiskey landscape. I wrote earlier on our Facebook group earlier today that in I'm going to get the years wrong, 1991, the Society first bottled an Irish whiskey, and members were upset. That's not what Scotch whiskey is. That's not what a Scotch whiskey club is all about. That's their beloved Scotch Malt Whiskey Society was losing its identity. It's all about flavour, folks. It's all about flavour. And then in 2001, I believe, was when we first bottled Japanese whiskey, and it didn't sell very well, and people didn't want it because it was like, Japanese whiskey. It's that's not what the Scotch Malt Whiskey Society is about. People even tore up their membership cards. I've written about that in depth before. You can check it out on our blog. But it's true. It changes perceptions, and people like. More and more are now understanding that there's no membership cards being torn up about us bottling Canadian whiskey, because it's just great whiskey. It's a great flavour. It's like when we bottle Armagnac or rum or cognac or something like that. It's like, it doesn't matter. It's great whiskey, or a great spirit in that case. And it carries an amazing flavour, and the tasting panel have picked out an absolute winner in my opinion. So 217 bottles for the world, 54 bottles for that for Australia. Now 53 bottles. In fact, I think 52 or 51 once you take out a couple of partner bars here and there that have picked it up. I think Captain's Balcony, perhaps. I'll have to check with that one. But Whisky and Ale certainly have. It's been great chatting to you. Just a quick video talk about 152.2 Tropical Cornucopia. It's out Friday, the 6th of January. If it's already, if you're watching this after it's already been out, just check if there's any stock left. It will be probably pretty popular, being what it is. It's like passion fruit as well. Passion fruit puree. That's a really, really easy drinkable whiskey, that one. That's lots of fun. And exactly the kind of summer dram you want in weather like this at the moment. Until next time, we're really looking forward to this year ahead with the SMWS. Looking forward to the year ahead. All the casks we've got planned, all the events we've got planned, all the experiences, and of course, all the special moments we'll be crafting around 40 years of the club. And that's all that matters, is putting together these amazing experiences that members can come along to. They can bring their partners and friends and everything and go, this is an amazing experience, this is an amazing night, thank you so much. And that's all that matters to us. And if some nights you'll find they're educational, they're learning experiences. Some nights they're more entertaining. And it might be a whiskey party or something. And it's just finding that balance and finding as we grow and come for the ride, as I like to say. You know what? That's all for now. Keep it on a nice tidy 10 minutes. Slanjava, cheers, kanpai, wherever you are. And that's our Malt of the Month, 152.2 Tropical Cornucopia. It's available at a nice little Malt of the Month price of $220. Before next time, I'll see you soon, and in good health, dram well, and I'll see you soon. Cheers, bye.